Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at another of these newest Vitae releases, as they have just kind of released a ton of figures all at once, although quite a few of them are actually repacks, as, well, technically, they're not just repacks, because some of them actually seem to have a little bit of a difference in paint compared to the previous versions, but this one here, I do believe at this point it's just a straight repack, but it has a base now, which is something that I think personally is incredibly exciting, because anytime I can get a base with a figure, whether it's a figure I have now or a figure that is brand new, I'm really excited about it. I love bases with my dinosaur figures because it just kind of creates an overall diorama and really amps up the display factor of the figure. But here you can see that we are going to take a look at the Chilantaisaurus, and again, all of them have this really cool window look to them. I love the fact that they have these really nice, very museum, it actually says museum series, but very museum style and feel boxes to them. Really, really awesome. You can see the Chilantaisaurus in there kind of hiding, and then if you actually flip the box around, we have an absolutely gorgeous image here on the back. This one actually might be my favorite one so far. Look at how beautiful that looks. Such a striking paint scheme as well. Really, really nice artwork that they continuously include with these Vitae figures. And again, this one overall might be my favorite. Man, I just would love to have like giant posters of these to just hang all over the place because they're so incredibly cool. But honestly, this is beautiful yet again on the part of Vitae. That is not a surprise, as they pretty much always deliver beauty to us, but I'm really psyched to get a look at this figure, as this is one that I did previously actually review here on the channel, but that was the older release prior to the base and everything now being included. So let's go ahead, get this open, and take a look at this figure. So here is the really nice looking base. Again, Vitae has been delivering some of the most beautiful bases that I have ever seen with any type of a dinosaur figure prior. They just look super realistic. Paint and sculpt, these things are just off the charts as far as these bases go. And then we have our Chilantaisaurus, and it as well looks beautiful, of course, but we have had this figure in the past. However, this actually corrects one issue kind of with the figure, because previously, I mean, it could stand pretty good. You can see it stands fairly well, but I think with the kind of smaller feet, there was the problem from time to time where the figure would fall over. I had actually seen some people creating like little mounds of clay to put their feet of their figures in just to hold them up, and that problem is actually corrected now with this new release, because you can see here on the bottom there is a magnet on the foot, so you just have to connect that magnet to, there we go, to the spot on the base, and now your Chilantaisaurus will have absolutely no problem balancing and staying up front and center on the base, because the magnet will hold it there, and overall it looks fantastic and such a really cool species for them to create. I think they're the only one. I'm pretty sure Vitae is the only company that I know of offhand that has actually created a figure of this species, so that as well is actually something that's quite common with Vitae, but a really awesome aspect in general of this figure. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now. So even though we have actually reviewed this figure previously, we're still going to review it again today, because the review of this figure initially is pretty darn old, and why not take another look at it? So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see that the head sculpt is absolutely beautiful. Lots of really nice fine detailing that you can see here, some beautiful scoots that run down around the eye socket. The sculpt and detail in general around the eye looks really good. The eye is painted with a nice black coloration, and it also has a pretty nice gloss coat to it, as actually does the inside of the mouth, which you can see that's shining quite realistically right there. You can see the nostrils are sculpted out right here in the snout area, but it actually looks really cool because they kind of give it a pinkish coloration inside the nostrils, which is something you don't see too often from companies. I do actually like that aspect of the figure. You also have a very cool looking, very vibrant paint scheme to the head sculpt here, as you have a little bit of a darker brown here, and then it kind of lightens and actually gets even lighter once you get to the lower jaw there, but you can see some really cool blue stripes that kind of run all over the face, down in the eye socket, all over the place, and it looks really, really neat, really flashy overall. So that is a really nice look for the figure. If you're going to create something that somehow looks really natural but really flashy, this is definitely the way to go. You can also see a little bit of alternate coloration as far as that blue goes, because you can see a darker blue there within the eye socket area and the area that stripes down. There's a little bit of a darker blue, and you'll actually start to see that a little more often here throughout the figure. Once you come up here to the top, you can see there's kind of that light blue and then that darker blue kind of stripes right through it, which helps to give it a little extra color variation, a little extra flashiness. As you start to lead down into the neck, you can see some really nice, very fine texturing to the figure. Again, the skin texture on this is really beautifully done, but it's not some kind of like very large scaling or anything like that. Like, it's a really nice fine texturing, a nice fine scaling to the figure, and I think it looks really nice because of the way it is sculpted. You can also see some kind of osteoderms or scutes that run along the back and the spinal column, actually some ridges that kind of run along the spinal column, but then rows of scutes and osteoderms. You can see osteoderms and stuff picking up in certain spots throughout the back, and even coming down here into the side, you can even see some kind of reaching down into the stomach region of the Chilantaisaurus. Coming down here into the arm area, first of all, you can see like that really nice dark brown runs down into the shoulder area from the upper part of the back, and just adds again a little more color variation. And you can also see some of the blues kind of creeping through in the arm area of the Chilantaisaurus as well. Really, really nice musculature displayed in that arm. The arm definitely looks like it's a pretty muscular area of this animal, and you can see as we move down into that hand sculpt, the hand sculpt first of all looks phenomenal, but look at how beautiful the paintwork is here on the nails. I love how it starts out with a nice darker coloration and really nice and naturally transitions to a lighter coloration as you get closer to the tips, and those nails have a really nice realistic gloss coat on them as well, so that area of the figure looks phenomenal if you ask me. Coming back up into the stomach region, you can see some skin folds here right behind the arm right there, right in between there in the stomach region. You can see some nice skin folds, as well as again some really nice, very fine skin texturing, which you almost don't even pick up on initially when you look at it from far away. If my camera would try to focus on it a little bit, there you go. You can see how you almost can't even pick up on how nice the actual texturing of the skin is, but then once you get it nice and close, you can see that the skin texture actually does look really good. And look at the really nice smooth transitions between the lighter coloration in the stomach as we reach up into the back. Such a smooth transition as that coloration darkens. Beautifully done there. You can also see some nice white coloration here on the underside of the Chilantaisaurus. Looks really good as well, and it's kind of been dry brushed a little bit up into the stomach region right there. You can pick up on the hip bone right there with some scutes that run across the hip bone. Some pretty nice musculature here in both the thigh and calf region, but it's not overly sculpted, so that is actually pretty nice looking as well. It's not something that is just incredibly way too defined on the figure. It looks pretty natural if you ask me. Coming down into the foot, actually you can see the kneecap right there, but coming down into the foot, you can see the really nice looking foot sculpt yet again. The nails are painted in similar fashion to what we had just seen up on the hands. Beautifully done. Honestly, they look really, really legit. Like, they actually genuinely look like real nails, which is a very impressive factor of the figure. And if you look over here at that foot, you can see that there is a dew claw present as well. And then coming back up into the tail, again, some more really nice texturing of the skin, which yet again is almost hard to pick up on, except when we get really close. You can see now how beautiful that actual texturing to the tail is. You can also see those really nice kind of stripes that run the course of the tail, making sure that the figure looks super flashy overall. If we turn the figure around and take a look at the opposing side of the head, you have some more of those really nice blue stripes, some more beautiful coloration here with the nice dark and lighter browns and tans up here on the face, beautifully painted eye. You can once again pick up on that pink coloration there in the nostril. Moving back here into the neck region, you can see those kind of ridges and scutes that run along the back of the dinosaur. Some more really nice coloration here in the neck region with those bluish stripes, as well as that fantastic looking brown coloration, and yet again such a smooth transition between that lighter and darker brown right there. Coming down into the body, you can pick up on the shoulder blade a little bit right there. Protruding from the skin, you have another really nice looking arm sculpt over here. Some more of those nice blue stripes running the course of the arm, and then yet again those incredibly nice looking nails on the hands. They look super realistic as far as the paintwork and the really nice gloss coat included. You have some more skin folds and stuff down here in the stomach region. Again, some really nice texturing of the skin up into the back area as we reach some osteoderms right there. You can see kind of poking up here and there. Really nice hip bone elaborated on this side as well, and you can really see how nice the ridge line is that runs along the spinal column on this figure from that shot right there. Beautifully done. Again, the musculature is not overly displayed, but looks really good regardless in the leg area, as those stripes continue to run down the course of that leg, and you have the really nice foot sculpt. And I love that the coloration of the foot has like a nice brownish coloration, but then as you get to the like toe area, it actually darkens up significantly, just giving even more color variation, and the nails are yet again painted picture perfect. And then we lead out the length of the tail, and yet again we have that really nice texturing to the skin, which you can see right there. Beautiful detailing here on the underside of the Chilantaisaurus. Really, really nice and very appealing looking striping as we run out the course of the tail. It has a really nice curve to the tail as well. You can see that right there from up above. Beautiful looking curve and some pretty nice detail here on the underside. Once again, you can see that magnet right there. And overall, the Chilantaisaurus is absolutely beautiful. And then we have the base as well that is included, and you can see again super realistic looking. Like it every single time I've gotten one of these Vitae bases out, it genuinely looks like a piece of the earth that I just pulled up to show you guys. There's so many realistic tones of color included. Like there's just a lot of color variation on this base, and that's genuinely what like the earth would look like if I went outside and took a look at it, if it wasn't completely covered in snow right now. And you can just see a lot of really nice detailing included, lots of like cracks in the ground and everything, and generally a really nice textured appearance to the earthy area of the base. You also have some vegetation on the base. It's actually much smaller than some of the vegetation that was on the previous bases that we've looked at, but also looks really good. And you can see even the magnet, which is right there, is colored just like the ground. So even when the dinosaur is not on the base, the magnet just kind of blends in with the base. And not too many people do that as far as companies that include the magnet approach to the base. They don't often kind of hide the magnet within the base, and I think that as well is a really nice touch on the part of Vitae. And of course on the underside you have a really nice soft underside, very high quality feel to it that makes sure that you don't damage whatever you have this on. So another absolutely gorgeous base. Really, really awesome work here on the part of Vitae. And just like before, all we have to do to apply our dinosaur to the base is bring the foot down, let it stand on the magnet, and now you have a really nice kind of a diorama of a Chilantaisaurus walking along, looking incredible. Just absolutely awesome. I love the fact that they have now included a base with this figure because, again, as I stated, with the standalone release, there was a little bit of a standing issue at times. Not much, honestly. Mine balanced pretty good, but I had heard others kind of complain about it a little bit. But that definitely will no longer be a problem if you acquire this new version with the really nice base included. As far as the size goes, for a length, you are looking at about 7.5 inches or 19 centimeters roughly. And then for a height, it's not very tall. You're going to see it at about 2 3/4 or about 7 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Vitae Chilantaisaurus. And you can see next to these figures that, again, it does have a pretty small size overall and is actually one of the smallest Vitae models in general, but I think honestly looks gorgeous as a whole, and the smaller size actually could be considered a good thing because, again, it's something that's not going to take up too much room in your collection, but still remains highly detailed, beautifully painted, and overall an incredible looking diorama. And then for a second comparison, here are two of the other Vitae figures, the newest releases, as we have the Chilantaisaurus as well as the Genuine Pelta next to our Chilantaisaurus, and you can again hopefully get a good idea of how these figures size up in comparison to each other. And hopefully if you happen to have the Chilantaisaurus previously and you are considering picking up these newer figures, this will help to give you an idea again of the size of those as well. So this brand new release of the previously released Vitae Chilantaisaurus is fantastic, and honestly, if you have the original, I recommend completely just rebuying the figure again to include the base with it, because the base makes a world of difference, I think, as far as the overall appeal factor for this figure. The figure on its own, even with the initial release previously, which I don't really think there's anything different on this one, paint-wise compared to the previous one, but unfortunately mine's in storage, so I can't really compare it to be sure, but the figure currently as it stands before me is fantastic. I really love this figure. I loved it the initial release. I love it now. The sculpt is beautiful. The paint is beautiful. The pose of it just walking along is also quite beautiful. Honestly, there is nothing that I can say that would really be a complaint about this figure. It is really, really gorgeous as a whole. But the addition of the base for this newest release honestly makes the entire thing look so much better. I love having bases with my figures because it kind of takes you straight back in time and kind of puts you in the moment of this dinosaur walking along. Really creates a beautiful diorama effect overall, and I think that Vitae has achieved that with each and every one of these releases, these newer releases, and now re-releasing some previously released figures with the bases is just a great idea overall. And I think the fact that they've included kind of a magnet on the underside of the foot and a magnet in the base to make sure that the dinosaur can stand perfectly on the base as well is just brilliant. I have loved that approach to models ever since I had initially seen that. The first time was like a year or two ago with a random Allosaurus figure, and I was immediately sold on the idea back then, and I'm really happy to see Vitae using it now because again, it just pays off so much. It really is awesome to have the dinosaur connect with the magnet because you don't have to worry about pegs or anything like that. And if it doesn't have a magnet or a peg, then you have to worry about the figure still falling over anyway if you're just kind of trying to like push it into a footprint or something to balance it out. It doesn't always work all that well. So as far as I'm concerned, the magnet, in my opinion, is probably the best way to connect a figure to a base, and I think it overall looks really nice, really natural, and doesn't cause any type of abnormalities on the figures. Like you don't have some kind of a weird peg sticking out of the foot or anything if you have to connect it that way. So the fact that it's connected with a magnet, I think, is awesome. Again, it's not something that can be done with large figures, like really big figures, but for this size range, the magnet approach is perfect, and Vitae has perfected it as well, I will say, with these figures, because each release leading up to this review here has been done perfectly as far as the magnet usage, and the fact that this Chilantaisaurus is walking along on a base now with no standing issues whatsoever is incredibly awesome. And again, as a whole, is such a beautiful, beautiful model and scene taking place before us. So if you would like to pick this up, I will include a link in the description to where you can do that. So make sure you check the description, go buy this fantastic Chilantaisaurus from Vitae, and make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.